the Egyptians suffered terribly because of what they did to us, and when we left, those that were left would probably want to try and forget the whole thing.
It's like in our age, or recently anyway, a lot of people growing up in Germany asked their parents or grandparents about the war. The parents said, you cannot discuss the war. And a lot of Germans today know very little about what happened not so long ago. Imagine you're living thousands of years ago, when you haven't got worldwide, you haven't got information going around the world, you haven't got internet and these things. It's very easy to delete something, embarrassing episodes of history.
There's something one.
National amnesia. If it can be done in the 20th century, it can be done thousands of years ago.
And on a much more effective scale.
The only way to check if the argument actually stands is I'd have to look at the Egyptians and the Persians, because obviously the Persians defeated the Egyptians at one point. And who wrote it down? The Persians or Egyptians? If the Persians did it and the Egyptians didn't write it down, then you have an argument. But if the Egyptians wrote their thing down, then...
This didn't happen in Persia. This was a long way away from Persia.
No. I'm saying when the Persians defeated the Egyptians.
But that's like a different period of history. You're talking about the Exodus.
No, we are talking about the Exodus, but I'm just saying in history.
I'm
not.
The argument is that our argument of saying that the Egyptians didn't write it down
should be the same
history.
He's
saying that they're like opinion out. Just like there, it should also be by when the Persians defeated the Egyptians, you should also find the same thing, that the Egyptians would have deleted this.
I don't know, maybe they did.
It's a different period of history. Maybe that different generation would react.
But anyway, I've got here's one for you to think about in relation to what you're saying. You know how the the people who are in the Caribbean, like in Jamaica, do you think they came from Africa?
The people from the Caribbean, the blacks and Jamaicans, Cubans.
But if you go there, do you see anyone acting like an African?
Well, not really. Well, not really. Yeah, because but they obviously have their own way of doing it. They're pretty much
Yeah, but remember, they've got the Americans and British have got records on paper to say they actually took people physically from the land. So notice that the records say they did physically come from there, but the people themselves, they don't seem to be acting like Africans. So if you find out with these guys, you bunch of people who seem to not have a good history, there you have an example right in front of your eyes, where you can find paperwork to show they really did come from Africa.
I'm going to actually look into that back and forth thing. It may be actually good evidence.
But the other thing is, you know what you're saying about the evidence. So what about the foundations of the temple? That doesn't count.
Wait, foundations of the temple were in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
But you would say that the Romans would have kept records, or kept records?
No. I mean, if you physically go there, and you dig down and find some foundations, then
then that would be evidence.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you could have to say, oh wait, I've heard evidence that there were things in the Red River of thing, and they found stuff, but I haven't looked into it too much. I have to look into it more to know if it's true or not.
Right. But you have to remember the one big problem you have in this world is that you do know history is written by the winners.
I was thinking about that, but I was just.
And the thing about it is that God obviously revealed the Bible to the losers, isn't it? So you wouldn't expect them to have much more than the Bible as evidence.
True. Like I said, you have points. I'm just gonna have to see the other side of the story. If it's consistent, if it is, then it's a very good argument against.
But what you say? So when you're asking the question, it's to do with them not having
the records. Yeah, I was just curious to see why don't the Egyptians record anything about Jews escaping, and because they could have even given them a bad name, saying that the Jewish people, they were evil, blah blah, and we got them out of our land. But they got nothing. So I was just quite,
you're talking about back in the Moses time.
Yeah, Moses' time.
But you have to remember though that Egypt has been sacked a few times.
Say that again?
Egypt has been sacked a few times, and remember, Muslims are good at burning stuff. So because remember, obviously, see who's in Egypt at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you think that they were there?
Yeah,
That's a problem. So they're the winners, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you think they're gonna say, yeah, there were these dark guys in Egypt. We really love them, and they're the best people. You think, and here's their records. Do you think they're gonna say do that?
Yeah, you're right.
Or they're trying to go and say, you guys, and just burn all their stuff. So that's the problem.
Yeah. That is good.
Because even if you go to America, and you find any history of the Native Americans, do you know of any?
What, Native Americans?
Yeah.
Are you talking about, do I know them personally? 'Cause
No. Of where you can say go to some Native American museum and they show you all their artifacts from 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
But notice that they're not the sort of people who does that.
Yeah.
So their history is just in the people themselves. So when the Americans came and like murdered them, their history went with the people they murdered.
Yeah.
So anytime someone loses, a lot of the time.
But the thing is, you know how you were making the argument that the Muslims would have burnt it, but they never burnt everything. They never burnt the parts with the Egyptians and their history. That somehow got kept. You know?
But you have to be careful. You know this history you're talking about. Is this the history that the people from Kemet tell you about? Or have you actually gone to like some museum where you've actually seen it physically presented?
I've heard chemists argue this, and I've heard historians argue pretty much the same point about Moses and.
Right, but whenever they give you that argument, do they give you a reference to the original document they're quoting?
Oh no. Well, not chemists, but I don't know about...
This is what you have to be careful about. Remember, see, with the Bible studies and even with the sort of these Jewish people, they will go back to the documents they actually have and history that they can put together. But you have to be careful when you listen to these Kemet people talk, because I remember this guy. I saw some of these guys on the high street, and they were dressed in like their fancy clothes and whatever. So because I know that their history is dodgy, I asked him. He had this book, and it was about some prophet guy or someone or another, and it was some book he's written which is about some history. So I asked him, where's the original text? When was it written, or is there a manuscript for it, etc.? Because I always ask this question now. And eventually, you know what the guy eventually said? It was some guy in like the 50s who wrote it. That's as far back as it goes.
Wow, that's bad.
So there is no like old historical text, even something on the stone or written on the stone or anything like that. These Kemet guys don't actually get a lot of what they say from anything. So anytime you speak to a Kemet person, ask him either which museum is this, what are they describing? Is there a museum that has like a historical text where that text is actually written down on parchment, stone? Because that's what you're physically after. You're after the actual physical item with the evidence on it. Don't listen to all the stuff they're telling you. You just ignore that and ask them what the original reference is. Because when this guy told me it's some guy in the 50s, I thought, you see, this is how a lot of this stuff comes around. And that's why you have to be careful with what these Kemet guys are saying.
That's a good point. I might as well start knowing where they got it from before even have a conversation. I'll be wasting my time when I find out it's not that far.
Yeah, because if they're chatting a lot about something and it sounds good, and you haven't asked them about, then they can make it sound good. But because obviously the where I got this from is like, you know, when you look in the Bible, I made sure that on my phone I've got a Bible that's got the original Greek and Hebrew. Obviously not the parchment, but what some scholar has written from the original parchment. So obviously if someone comes and tells me, and I've got the book there, in my phone, says no, that Hebrew's wrong. Now I've got to actually go to the museum, innit? I've actually got to make a trip down to whichever museum it is, get my camera out and actually photograph the paper to double check. So I just want to know if it's something that, alright, I've got a copy of it and there's an original somewhere. As long as that's the case, then I'm good with that as evidence. But if someone can't give you that trail, then you have to be careful. Yeah, you got to be careful with what they're saying.
It could be more of the atheists that could be the problem rather than the chemists.
Yeah.
I want to see what they're even saying.
Yeah.
We've never formed an alliance in one consent.
Raise up one from the dead by just saying get up.
Because if you read
they had power over life and death.
like John 3,
himself
These verses
rose.
dealing with these
This
same
is
nations.
Is that after the locust?
not
The
die again.
locust.
So
The locust being the army, right? Or was it,
I believe that's the
Because I
reason I
know
believe
Joel
that there
starts
is
off.
life after
Joel
death.
2.
Without
Joel 1
life,
and 2, I know it's talking about
I
locust.
cannot believe
Remind
that there
me,
is life after
Joel
death.
3, it says,
So,
I will
and
gather
there's
all
no
nations
religion
against Jerusalem.
that can prove that.
And
Other
basically,
than
he'll judge all the nations around it. He mentions
So
still the same nations, the nations that he's mentioned.
believe that there's life? Do you think there is life after
So
death?
Still talks about
How do you know that?
the Hagarites and the
He talks about all
Midianites.
the nations around him, yeah, that go against
I
Israel.
didn't find it good. According to Tobias Singer, he was
There's no
saying
China. There's no China
he was,
involved at
he
all.
was taking the context of modern day issues and applying it.
There is
to
no
the
single
world.
mathematical miracle.
simply wrong.
I don't want to go
Because God
in-
deals with specific nations. He mentions
There-
them
no,
geographically.
So
He
let's
talks
not
about
go
going there
in. I am
geographically.
not
He's there,
saying
he's there, he's got.
go and talk about
The
miracles.
Bible talks about him, if you read Isaiah 63, he's covered in blood. Do you know what I mean? From a slaughter.
No, let's talk about this
Nations
death,
on behalf
life,
of
and
Israel
death.
for what the nations did to
Even
Israel.
resurrection.
And so it's a
Even
future event,
resurrection.
something that the world will see.
Even raising people
That
from
could
the
only be
dead.
fulfilled in one
What you
person.
see in the
Because this
Quran,
person,
only
if you read
person
Zechariah 12
who
verse
could
10,
do that
he has runes.
in the
He
Quran.
comes and he has runes.
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
Only
I
Jesus
know you probably have
can do that.
Zechariah 12:10 is talking about false prophets.
Yeah,
The
in
person
the
with wounds is a false
Quran,
prophet.
only Jesus
so.
can raise
Yeah, that's the
somebody from the
context.
dead. Jesus has power
That's the
over
context
life.
of the chapter. You read through the whole chapter.
Only
Lots
Jesus
of
has
about-
power over life. There is no
a
other
lot of
person
Christians
in the
use
Quran.
Zechariah 12:10 as a proof text to say it's
Oh,
about Jesus.
Jesus didn't say that.
If anything,
The Quran
it's the
didn't
only
say that
place where I would
Jesus-
say, sure, if we talk about Jesus, it's about false prophets, man.
No, did he say
The
that?
whole chapter's about false
Is
prophets.
there any
you have to
other
give me that
person
example
in the
why.
It is my
Quran that can
favourite
raise
Christian
somebody
proof
from the
text, because
dead?
it's the only one that I agree
other
is
person?
talking about Jesus. Because it's all about false prophets.
No, I'm asking you.
Zechariah 12:10, the whole chapter's about false prophets.
bring that up and let me see like, how it's talking about false prophets. I read it all the time, so.
I'll show you. Hold on, I'll get it out.
Because actually another one, who do you believe the prince is in Ezekiel 40 something? I can't remember exactly which one.
I'm not such an expert on the 40s in Ezekiel because I haven't studied it so closely. The furthest I've got is 38. I haven't got to the 40s yet in Ezekiel, so I can't. I know it's all about the temple, but I don't really know what's going on.
No, it's got the sacrifice. You know, they've got the sacrifices and.
I haven't got there yet. I'm at 39. I just did 38. I'm still learning.
Unfortunately, Yom Kippur and the 67
That's not the war, that's not the war the Bible talks
nations
about.
gathered and together and fought the state of Israel.
That's not what it talks
This happened
about.
how
But
many
it talks
wars
about
has there
Israel,
been?
no, it talks about Israel going into captivity.
There was a war every
6-day war. Yeah, there's
So
been a
it's
6-day
something
war.
like-
The war in the 50s.
Muhammad, no single miracle
Yeah.
in the
The
Quran.
6-day war. There's been many wars.
And there's
How can
There's
you
been
believe
many-
Yom War, then the 80s there was the 11 War.
There's been many
They weren't
wars.
directly involved in war, but
There's
there was
been
the
many
Gulf
wars.
War.
But the war that will be led by your Mahdi and Isa.
A brick phone, also known as an expensive torch.
The batteries last longer.
That is the God.
The amount of times that I've dropped this down a flight of stairs and not a scratch. Not a scratch.
But that was conquered twice.
Where, sorry?
In the beginning of
Yeah.
Islam and then again by
Just getting
Salah
in.
ad-Din when he
Exactly.
tried
Yeah, of course. No, but this is talking about a future event. This is
when you
Just
want-
before Malachi.
because it
After
talks
the
about, no, it talks about Israel being established in one country and surrounded.
Back.
And these nations, when you imagine,
It's
Right,
after
yeah,
you.
That's what we're talking about.
Here's Malachi, so just before that. Yeah, there's 14 chapters.
I want to understand what you're saying about Zechariah 12.
Shine the light in
Go to the beginning of
The
chapter
same
12.
verse where God talks about gathering the nations, it says it's talking about false prophets.
Here we are.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Okay, so it says, in English anyway, the burden of the word of the Lord concerning Israel, the saying of the Lord who stretches out the heavens and lays the foundation of the earth and forms the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Yerushalayim a cup of staggering to all the peoples round about, and it shall also be for Yehuda during the siege against Yerushalayim. And on that day I will make Yerushalayim a burdensome stone for all the peoples. All that burden themselves with it shall be grievously hurt, and all the peoples of the earth shall be gathered together against it. On that day, says the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness, and I will open my eyes upon the house of Yehuda, and I will smite every horse of the nations with blindness. And the governors of Yehuda shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Yerushalayim are my strength through the Lord of hosts their God. On that day I will make the chiefs of Yehuda like a hearth of fire among trees, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf. And they shall all devour all the peoples round about, on the right hand and on the left. And Yerushalayim shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Yerushalayim. And the Lord shall save the tents of Yehuda first, the glory of the house of David and the glory of its inhabitants of Yerushalayim, do not magnify themselves against Yehuda. On that day, the Lord shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Yerushalayim, he and he that stumbles among them. And that day shall be like David, and the house of David shall be like a divine being, like the angel of the Lord before them. And it shall come to pass on that day, I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Yerushalayim, but I will pour against the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Yerushalayim the spirit of grace and of supplication, and they shall look towards me regarding those whom the nations have thrust. I think I've got the chapter wrong.
That's the thing, yeah, because I didn't understand. I think you're probably talking about a different verse. This verse here is talking about God coming to you see, do you understand the central theme about what I'm talking about? That God is coming and he's judging the nations that surround him.
Do you know
It's always the nations that surround them.
references, verse and chapter and verse?
Of this verse, of which
Yeah,
verse?
well, the one you're quoting.
Oh, it's his.
That's the one I just quoted to you guys. So the verse that, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, if it's talking about false prophets, like, where? Do you know what I mean?
I think I might have got the chapter.
Can you prove what you're saying? By any miracle.
Is it the one that says woe to the one with the shepherd? With the one eye.
Oh, there it is. I've got the chapter. It's chapter 13. That's the one about.
Woe to the shepherd.
Yeah.
Is it that one?
I was only one off. Chapter 13 is the one about the false prophet.
False prophet.
They
False
ask you
prophets
over
and
and over and over again.
all that stuff.
Can you prove what you're saying? No, he can't.
Oh, is it the one that says he was wounded by the house of his friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I don't do. That one when people use that, it's not really talking
It's
about.
that one.
Yeah, I don't use that one.
Yeah, I got the numbers.
Yeah, no worries, no, but you're pretty close though. Just one chapter away.
Oh, it was only one off.
There is life after death.
But
There is
Zechariah
no other
12 is still talking about that same theme of these nations coming together in one alliance to attack Israel. And God talks about them being surrounded by their enemies. Is that the case today? These nations want to destroy Israel.
They do.
This is something that is future, and yet it talks about God in a form where he has hands. Whether you take this literal or not, the fulfillment, Jesus claimed to be that person who's coming to fulfill that. The Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. It didn't happen in his days, no, but it's yet future. And it talks about Israel recognizing the Messiah through this. So when Jesus does come and he shows his wounds to the world, Israel will be the first to realize this is the Messiah that we've killed before. Do you know what I mean? That we've crucified. That's the only way they accept him when he comes to defend them from the surrounding nations. It's yet future. You know? If you read Luke, I know you might not read the New Testament. If you read Luke 21, Jesus makes reference. Yeah, I know. Yeah. If you read Luke 21, Jesus makes reference to the same event. He talks about that being the end times.
You read the New Testament.
It's just me personally.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you like it?
No, I think it's silly.
It feels like,
I mean, when I read through Matthew, I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe that there was such a badly written book. And then I read the Quran, and then I found, okay, fine, there's something worse.
I've got a copy of that.
Yeah.
I thought, when the first time I saw it, I thought it was going to be, similar kind of style to the Torah or whatever. Also, I once heard that, apparently it's supposed to be the same as the Torah up to the point where Abraham has 2 sons. And, well, it wasn't. I mean...
It's so silly. The Quran is far more random than the New Testament, I find.
Random?
It's
Really
so
random.
random.
Historical accounts seem to come wherever, and they're rewritten. The stories are rewritten. Like it sounds like you read it, and you get the impression that someone knew the story, he'd sort of heard it, but didn't really remember it properly, and he wrote it from. That's the impression you get when reading it.
Yeah, it's true.
But anyway,
And what isn't the story? Between the stories, there's a lot of waffle.
but I was wondering, so Ezekiel So when do you reckon you'll get past 38?
Sometime this week.
All right. Okay. So you reckon you'll be ready next week?
I hope so. I don't know if I'll understand the chapters yet by next week, but I will probably have read them.
But is it something? Because I keep hearing something about there's certain chapters in the Old Testament that apparently some rabbis reject.
It's not true.
No?
It's a complete lie.
All
There's
right.
no basis for it.
Okay, but
Which chapters are you referring to?
no. Apparently, it's
Isaiah 53, for example. I heard one Christian here by the name of David claim that it's the Perek HaAsur, the forbidden chapter, which is a load of nonsense. So he says, yeah, but you don't read it in the synagogue. He said, only less than a third of the prophets are read in the synagogue. Less than a third of the prophets. Okay, the only parts of the prophets that are read in the synagogue publicly are the parts that have specifically to do with the Pentateuch portion of the week. Right, it's to do with the same theme. It's called the Haftorah, and I would advise you to look up the historical stuff about why we have the Haftorah. But if you were to look at that, then if you find out about what this is, then you'll find that there's specific reasons why we have the specific chapters. It's not about what we don't have; it's about what we do have.
A quicker response is that the fact that it's not incorporated into the synagogue service doesn't mean we're forbidden to read it.
right. Because actually, I think the two.
Otherwise, it would have been taken out of our Tanakh a long time
So
ago.
I mean that's.
Because I think the two I heard about is Ezekiel and Daniel. They're the two I remember.
So some of the chapters of Ezekiel we read in synagogue. So, for example, on the 8th day of Passover, we read from Ezekiel chapter 37. I think we read the whole chapter.
Well, that's a good one anyway.
Oh yeah, I love that chapter. I believe there are other parts of Ezekiel that we also read in the synagogue. And there's one particular verse in the synagogue we say every single day, which is Ezekiel 3:12. I think. No, 11:12, 12, something 12, 4:12. Yeah.
Well, so 3 is the one about where you have to.
If it's authentic,